Hey everyone, welcome to episode 10 of Soft Power Hard Truths. Again, Rico couldn't make it today slash Alex, but it's just gonna be me solo doloing it. So let's just get into it, guys. At the middle of April, Trump was telling Congress that the Iran war has been terminated, right? So it was that there was gonna be a deadline where both were gonna reach peace. So this is during the ceasefire that we had, the ceasefire that happened in the beginning of April. This comes at the time of him saying it. War Powers, it was coming to the 60th day, which War Powers states that you have to let Congress know. That means the Senate, the House know, and you have to get their approval for it. My question is, are we still on a ceasefire? There's moments where there's ships being hit, where we're navigating it, and then we're also blockading it as well. Even the UAE on that Monday, for the first time, came under attack. The authorities said an Iranian drone sparked a fire in a key oil facility as they intercepted some Iranian missiles. So U.S. reported that around that same time frame, the U.S. reported that 2 American flagged merchant ships were successfully transited the critical waterway as part of the new safeguarding initiative. Shortly after these attacks, the U.S. military said it battled Iranian forces and it even sank 6 small boats. This came from America. And then they reinstated what was called Project Freedom. I know they have the best names for these guys.
Come on,
Epic
man.
Fury, Project Freedom, Midnight Fury.
What?
Midnight Fury. I said furry,
Bro,
holy
what are you
shit.
talking about?
Project Freedom, U.S. Navy vessels to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So it gives us the illusion that we're in control here, even though the IRGC was the one that technically closed the Strait of Hormuz and is regulating it. So U.S. is technically not in control of it, but at the same time, we have a blockade there. We're making sure our ships are getting through safely. IRGC claims that they did hit some U.S. warships,
Sure.
but CENTCOM later denied that claim. This didn't actually happen. Who is telling the truth here, guys? I just can't tell. Some people are believing IRGC, while some people are believing America. Why are we getting 2 different narratives about this? The Iran regime says it receives a U.S. response to the latest 14-point proposal that it initiated. And part of that proposal was for the U.S. to pretty much abandon their blockade there. So no more blockade by the U.S. And of course, what do you guys think Trump did? So he rejected this and said that he's not willing to take this. So we're back at it again. I mean, we're not technically back at war, but we're supposed to be back at the ceasefire. So no peace proposal. That failed, guys. Just like the first one. I think that one was a 12-point plan, but that involved leaving the proxy groups alone. So of course we didn't succeed with that. I mean, Israel didn't, because they kept attacking Hezbollah. The British military reported 2 cargo vessels ablaze off of the UAE. And so Trump and Hegseth, right, they have so many investments in the oil market. It's crazy because every time, announcements like these go, or true social posts that Trump makes about declaring the end of the war, the oil markets are changing, right? Because people are buying and selling at the rate of the tweets that are going on, right? Same with the poly markets, guys, the markets that you can literally bet on any life events. Like, think about that. Any life event is betted on and put a price on so that you can bet on the outcome, similar to how you're betting on a sports game, right? So like if the Broncos were playing the Chargers, except this is real life here, baby. Like, actual people are dying and we're at risk at going to a third world war. These announcements he makes is not only for his propaganda campaign, because Trump is like this. He's been like this since his first term in 2016. There's more and more investments that go into this. Him, Hegseth, and the whole Trump family is making money out of this. On top of that, he made a meme coin back in the day where he did a rug pull, which is where they hype up the value of the coin for them to just completely sell it all and pull the rug on it without having anyone benefit from them except them. A scam. Also, he has some pickleball rackets. He has his own shoes, the Trump shoes. Yeah, what else does he have? But he has his own chocolate, and I think alcohol too. He's just making so much money, and I'll talk about this later. But presidents should not be able to make more money. They already make $400,000 as a salary, and obviously he's probably involved in some insider trading as well. Share owners in big tech companies or military companies or even pharma companies as well. The U.S. military says its forces fired on 2 Iranian flagged oil tankers. So this was when Trump made that announcement about the deadline of the war. The military forces fired on 2 Iran flagged oil tankers to stop them from docking at an Iranian port on Friday in violation of the U.S. blockade. And so, again, I don't know what Iran said in response to this, because they could have denied it on their end. Our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said that the U.S. was expecting a response, right? So this was before the actual peace proposal that they instated. And then Trump said that the U.S.-Iran ceasefire was still in effect, but he warned that the U.S. would knock them down a lot harder and more violently if they didn't accept this peace deal. It turns out that Iran didn't even show up for this peace deal, and then on top of that, as we have come to find out, Trump rejects it anyways because he doesn't want the blockade to not be there anymore. He still wants it there, guys, for whatever reason. Even though this could have been our shot at ending the Iran war and setting up a peace deal where both parties are happy. That reminds me of another thing. So this guy I follow, I really recommend him. His name is Adam Mockler. He comes from Midas Touch. He's kind of like a Gen Z Midas Touch, which might be the reason why I vibe with his videos so much. But he was doing a confrontation with Scott Jennings on CNN. I just wanted to play this video and give you guys my thoughts on it. So let's play the video over here, and let's start the video.
But the reality is, we are failing this war. The purpose of a war is to extract political concessions from the enemy. Can you name a single political concession we've gotten from them? Anything at all?
Are you talking to
any political concession? Because you can't name one.
So here's what we're doing.
No political concessions.
When you get up past your bedtime, you get hyper. Here's the deal.
All right, let's not.
This is a war of aggression.
What is international law? Who's enforcing international law?
Who is the aggressor here?
Us. We are the aggressor.
Against
we launched
Iran?
this war. Yes.
Okay.
Just because Iran exists.
Did all of U.S. history exist before the last 8 weeks to you, or just 8
It started on February 28th.
Listen, we all know.
I mean, honestly, they have been at war with us for 47
We
years.
all know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat? Is that what you
I
have?
debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
One political concession. Name one political concession.
Whoa, guys,
Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's
everybody,
in my face.
everybody, hang tight.
Honestly.
Okay. No, everybody, calm down.
I'm going to beat this kid up.
Mommy's bothering me. So that was Scott Jennings going full Karen on a fellow CNN panelist. And I can tell you, having watched that a couple of times now, I saw something there that gave me further insight. It was the joke that got a laugh, not his, but the other panelists who said IRA, wars starting with IRA. And then someone giggled in the background, and that really ticked Scott off because how dare you make fun of me and my warmongering? CNN stars have called for Scott Jennings to be fired from the network for his F bomb meltdown at a contributor on live TV. Jennings lost his head at 23-year-old Midas Touch reporter and guest CNN commentator Adam Mockler on Thursday evening. Happened during a debate on Newsnight with Abby Phillip. 47-year-old Republican talking head took umbrage at the younger man eviscerating him for his staunch backing of President Donald Trump regarding his war in Iran. I mean, just look at it. I said foaming at the mouth, but this really is. Look at that. You need one of those masks. Put that on him. Like, you know how they sometimes transport prisoners and they have to because they're spitting or something in court. He's one of those.
You got
Adam
rabies.
Mockler. All right, disclaimer. That's this for comedy's sake, opinion. Do not come after the network. No one's diagnosing him.
No, he doesn't.
Adam Mockler wrote on X, grown man on the verge of tears because he can't answer a question. That's true. That's what we just saw. Miles Taylor, alumnus of Donald Trump's first presidential term, who has since become one of his loudest critics, delivered a blistering assessment of Scott Jennings, writing, you know who's a perfect metaphor for the GOP? Scott Jennings, pundit who mocks Trump with us during commercial breaks, but fawns over Trump when the camera is rolling. Brave enough to speak out in the green room. True. Sounds true. Former CNN anchor Jim Acosta called for hothead Jennings to be fired. Writing on his Substack, he said, lighten up, Scott. Mockler is almost a kid, and a nice one at that. Either way, Jennings should be fired. As James Earl Jones announces every so often in the network promos, this is CNN, not an episode of The Jerry Springer Show. Recalling his own interactions with Jennings, Acosta added, Jennings was a bit of a hothead when I worked at CNN. I recall his glaring at me following one segment when I fact-checked him in real time. But wow, what happened Thursday night was next level. Mockler really got his goat. True. Then there was Keith Boykin. Here's what he wrote. Scott Jennings should be fired. I've been on the air with Scott many times over the years. He's a paid CNN contributor. I'm not. Telling a fellow panelist to get your effing hand out of my face is unacceptable. This is the same guy who lectured me about taking the Lord's name in vain because I said Jesus Christ once when he wouldn't let me speak without interrupting. When I was under contract with CNN, I was told that contributors serve as brand ambassadors. Is this the brand? Well, there's going to be, Keith, you know, there's a double standard here. Okay, you're an esteemed commentator, columnist. You can't do what Scott does. You know that. Earlier this year, Jennings was described as corrosive to the brand by Democratic strategist, one-time CNN regular Julie Roginski, who sacrificed her future with the network to speak out against him in a stunning Substack post. It was titled, I'm probably about to be banned from CNN, but someone has to say this about Scott Jennings. It included a bevy of accusations against the GOP strategist, who has a close relationship with, you guessed it, President Trump. On Friday, she reacted to her foe's latest outburst, writing on X, said it before and I will say it again, CNN beclowns itself by platforming Jennings. The many serious journalists there are tarnished by having to share a network with this unserious, insecure Trump proctologist. Look, the sad part, we just start backwards, is that they are now positioning him for a takeover of CNN. I'm not even talking about this merger that's about to go through with the Ellisons. I'm talking about raising his profile and giving the other side, who loves a culture war and loves to play the opposite game, fire and energy, another distraction. Let's boost Scott Jennings up. But I do think the point there is well taken. I don't blame Scott. Scott's being Scott Jackson. This is what CNN hired him to do. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they hired him for. To be a Trump mouthpiece and to get a little sassy from time to time. You know what I mean? I do gotta say though, I like Adam Mockler. I don't remember when I first came across him, but he's a 23. He works hard, and he does a good job. So I definitely commend him for everything that he's got going on. And I also have to say that I think CNN has the worst roundtable discussions like on cable television. It's maybe worse than Fox News because the conversations aren't serious. And it's always, you might have a couple people on there making good points, but then you got Scott Jennings. And I didn't even know, which I'm not surprised to learn, that during break he's making fun of Trump. And then when the cameras start rolling, he's right back to licking his boots. I mean, that's not surprising because that's most of them. But that also, I think it's important to point out that people like Scott Jennings, when when this second term is over, like, what is Scott gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, the Republican Party really is in complete shambles. It really is. Because they sold everything to one individual. And without Donald Trump, they're nothing. So what's Scott Jennings gonna do? What are people like him gonna do? Besides fall off into obscurity? That's my prediction about people like that. I could be wrong, but I just think that when your whole brand has been Donald Trump for the last decade, when he's gone, you're gonna be gone too.
I don't know if I agree with that last part, and I think you raised some points, but when you are a white man with proximity to power in America, you'll just pivot like JD Vance
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I thought he was Hitler, and now you're the VP. So some people
yeah.
have no shame,
That's
and I
true.
predict just like a cat has 9 lives, Scott will continue doing what Scott does and getting paid for it. Before we move on, prediction: will CNN act? Will he be off the air temporarily,
No,
permanently, or not at
no,
all?
no,
Yeah.
not at
No.
all. Because everybody talking about it. I mean, I saw this clip yesterday all over the place. So no, they're not gonna pull him off.
He's back
Definitely
tonight.
not, especially because less and less people watch cable television at all anymore. So they're not gonna pull him off.
Prediction: he's sitting in for Abby tonight. Okay, that's probably what we'll
Yeah.
see.
Guys, that was quite the video. So, to give you some background, Scott Jennings is an American conservative political columnist slash political contributor. So he's a longtime confidant of Mitch McConnell and then to George W. Bush. So obviously he's pretty conservative. He's also pretty old because, as you can tell, he was making demeaning comments to Adam, calling him oh, it's past your bedtime, saying that he has an attention span of a gnat. Adam did get him a few times too, saying he's always in favor of these forever wars. Ever since Adam was a baby. The first thing that they were talking about is the War Powers Act, the fact that you have to let Congress know within 60 days of initiating a war. Obviously, Trump didn't do that, right? But the ceasefire did make it so that those days to give him more time to let the Congress know, because technically this time doesn't count for whatever reason. But in all fairness, apparently Obama used that same excuse with the Republicans back when he was president. But let's jump into the next topic. So why is US, who is one of the military superpowers of the world, why are they at a standstill with Iran? Even though Iran is stronger than Venezuela, and yes, they have a control on the economic markets, oil and fuel, don't have as impressive as a military as America does in terms of Navy, in terms of the Army, and in terms of air power, right? So why are we still at a standstill? Reason number one, the drone warfare. The Ukraine-Russia war has changed modern battle tactics to be more of drone warfare, right? So that's why you see America, we're still caught in missile strikes, cruise strikes, because we have the defense, we have even a good amount of interceptors for those types of missiles, but we are not prepared for the modern day drone warfare, which is what Iran has building for a while now. Second reason is those proxy groups are actually giving us problems. It's not just Israel. So like I mentioned, Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen are still fighting on the borders and giving Israel issues as well as America. We're also running low on lots of supplies. So the first few things are long range missiles. We're running low on that, and just air defense in general. So we're also struggling with critical shortages on munitions. This includes Patriot air defense interceptors. Nearly 50% of that is depleted, and then THAAD interceptors, precision strike missiles as well. So we're running low on those, and obviously interceptors as well. We're losing on this end, especially the drone warfare. Like, I just wanted to talk about that in specific more. I was watching these videos by Warfront. You guys should check it out, specifically about the equipment and the shortages that US and Iran go through in this war, also Israel. The last resort, American soldiers and Israel soldiers too use shotguns to get rid of these drones. So imagine using shotguns and trying to destroy these pesky drones that fly everywhere. I don't even know how that's possible, guys. Of course, that's last resort, but the main things are we do jamming devices, electronic warfare. It disrupts the radio frequency within the drones, causing it to be not as functional. These include drone defender, drone dome systems. That's what it's called. Don't ask me why it's called those names. Then directed energy weapons, DU. These lasers burn disable drones, while the Leonidas uses microwaves bursts to fry electronics. Those are more effective. We also have kinetic systems, so physical solutions like nets are fired from guns or missiles that can physically destroy and trap these drones. We have AI such as bullfrogs that provide automated tracking and predictions for neutralizing these fast moving, swarming threats. These are the reasons why we're at a standstill. The perception of America as the hegemony is being impacted. We are pulling troops from Germany, Italy, and Spain to go fight. We're getting ready to fight the ground wars in Iran. I've said this so many times. I don't know when it's gonna happen, guys. I know we're at some point, if we want to win this war, we're gonna have to deploy ground troops. I don't want that to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope Trump thinks twice about that, but it's bound to happen if we want to win the war. I hate to say it. We're also decreasing, because of the resources that we're putting into fighting in this war, we're decreasing foreign aid that we used to provide to other countries, like in Africa, Europe, even South America, and now China and Russia is replacing the foreign aid, and China is trying to take over our spot. In the other pieces of news, Trump was banned from Saudi military bases. So Saudi Arabia decided to block the U.S. military from using key Saudi bases. The leadership of Saudi was furious with Trump after announcing this operation without coordinating with Saudi Arabia. So not only was Europe and Japan pissed that we didn't let them know about this, but also Saudi Arabia didn't know as well. And you would think we would let Saudi Arabia know, right? Since they are in the Middle East, they're big oil companies down there. Saudi airspace, the Saudi leadership forced Trump to pause it and suspend it for now. Another Middle Eastern country was affected as well, the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. They've already exited from OPEC, which is the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. So what does this mean? So this company is, or organization, group of Western major oil places like Standard Oil, BP, Shell, and other big oil companies. They've been setting the price of this oil. So the logic is that they are trying to control the supply and control the price. With the UAE exiting this, there's gonna be a currency swap, a swap line, or financial agreement takes place between central banks, and they exchange currencies to obtain the US dollars and provide liquidity into these institutions. There is an oil market disruption right now. They might possibly turn to yuan, which is the Chinese currency instead of the American dollar. This is not what we need. This would have really helped us in our oil markets, but no, with UAE leaving, that's a huge loss to us. I've seen many videos about the dollar possibly losing its place, but I don't think that's happening. Just the bonds that are losing its values, like the wartime bonds and stuff like that. US is requesting China to buy more bonds because when they actually do own 60% of rare earth materials, we really do need Chinese because we are lacking some of those rare earth materials. In a perfect ideal world, we can have all those and it's accessible to everybody. China knows that we are an opponent and they're not going to give us the materials to make those missiles. So that's also what contributes to the shortage of military supplies and equipment. It's more local, guys, is that the Spirit Airlines had to cease operations. They went bankrupt on May 2nd after failing to secure a federal bailout, which would have helped them. But it's because I know they've been already losing business on top of the oil markets and the fuel prices increasing. This was the tipping point for them to just be like, okay, we can't do this anymore. We're just gonna go bankrupt and declare the end of this company. Spirit Airline was the go-to airlines I would use because it's cheap and I just don't give a fuck about the quality of the flight. Honestly, as long as I get there, that's what matters. Even though the flights can take a while, guys. Why is Israel still popular? Actually, I don't think it is as popular as it 2015s or 2020. I think lots of people are coming to the conclusion they might not be the allies that we were thinking. They might not be as innocent as everyone thought they were. It's because of the past, like 9/11, World War II. That's why people are still feeling bad about the Jewish population not getting their own state. And so now they have their own state. Countries are turning against Israel. Let's start with the EU, especially France and Italy have stopped selling arms to them, and they were a huge major arms supplier, mostly France. They stopped selling arms to Israel, and then Israel pretty much pulled the "you can't fire me because I quit," and then they just stopped coordinating with them. Israel is unpopular in America, but also in the EU, Americans are becoming more aware of it too. The leadership, because that would be a whole different story, and I wish that were to happen, but mostly the American citizens, and mostly like the younger, middle-aged, even the older population is changing their opinion on this, mixed 50-50 on this, but the younger people are overwhelmingly anti-Israel. Bernie tried to impose an act that would stop arms sale to Israel. He was trying to stop funneling weapons just like France did. But unfortunately, that got shut down. It was in a 40-59 vote, but at least there were 40 people that were for the bill to be passed, for us to stop selling arms to Israel. I'm glad. I think it's a work on progress. If the Dems take over the House in November, maybe we'll give it another shot. But that was a good try because of the Iran war, because of the Strait of Hormuz just choking economic points. That's what led to people doing even more deep dives and increasing awareness on even Gaza. There's a more awareness, global awareness about the atrocities that Israel has committed. The new allies, or the newish allies that Israel was supposed to have, it includes Brazil, India, and Hungary. But with Brazil and Hungary actually getting new, maybe leadership as their new elections are coming by, we'll see what happens with that. But India is still pretty faithful to Israel. Out of all the countries in the world, there was a map to indicate this allegiance to Israel. My second part that I want to talk about, guys, is the Supreme Court striking down the Voting Rights Act in Louisiana. Again, the Republicans are trying to make it so that they can get more seats in the House, and this starts with Louisiana. This starts with Virginia. As a result, Democrats they fought back by trying to redistrict California and redistricting Virginia, but they're getting a lot of resistance with that too from the Republicans. When the Republicans were trying to redistrict Louisiana, they were mostly targeting black districts. So this is this is a racist thing that they're trying to pass. And it's just going to keep snowballing, because once they think that's okay, there's going to be racist bills that they can pass. So this is bad for them, right? So these conservative justices who serve lifetime term limits, they need to be put in check, because I don't understand why, number one, Supreme Courts serve for that long, and number two, why are they so damn old? It's just like the presidents. The other day too, Alabama filed an emergency appeal seeking 23 redistricting plan that would likely take a state from a 5-2 Republican district split to a 6-1, increasing that even more in Alabama, trying to farm these House seats. But luckily, Trump was finally able to sign a bill funding DHS, because DHS was in a filibuster for so long. So this was a 76-day shutdown, and finally the House unanimously approved the Senate bill to fund DHS without having the ICE attacks. The Democrats, that's why they filibustered it. That's why they paused it pretty much. ICE was intruding on the voting for the midterms in November. Now that we're talking about some other Democratic wins, there was that one video, guys, that I wish I can play, that Warren was challenging Hegseth on oil insider trading. Why did so many people know to like sell before the Iran war was coming? That was suspicious to her. So I'm glad she was able to call Hegseth on that, and he just kept denying it. Speaking about Democrats for 2028, there was that interview with Obama and Stephen Colbert, where Colbert was pretty much asking Obama, what powers should a president should not have? Obama, being the charismatic individual, was able to be like, oh, he's not able to direct attorney general to prosecute whoever they want. It's the people's lawyers. He shouldn't be able to politicize the military, you know, such as this war in Iran and like the ICE agents to Minnesota. And just no corruption of state power. No side hustles like I was talking about. Trump has his meme coin. Trump had his sneakers, pickleball, chocolate, and other things too, on top of insider trading, because his other family members are profiting the hell out of shit. Like the other day I saw Barron Trump has his own like yerba mate brand of like caffeinated tea, which is crazy to me. Why does his already really rich family need other businesses like this? Like, I thought he already had the show Apprentice. He already owned like hotels prior to becoming a president, and now he wants all these other businesses? Doesn't make sense to me. He wishes that the Republicans were loyal opposition as well, so meaning that they actually did shit to hold Trump accountable, because the Epstein files, right? Why is there only one or maybe two people holding Trump accountable that are on the Republicans? That's Nancy Mace and that's Thomas Massie. Everyone else decided not to do that. He's also holding the DNC accountable, right? So he's wishing the Democrats didn't talk to everyone like it was a college seminar. The Democrats have a tendency to talk with political jargon, use words that people don't even know what means. Even Gavin Newsom, sometimes he does this too. On his podcast, he'll be like, subsidies and gerrymandering, right? A filibuster, but I feel like people need to break down what that means. Yes, I do use those words in my podcast, but at the same time, I'm defining what they mean, because I know not everyone's going to know what that means. Not everyone has a privilege to go to education, to go to college. And sometimes people might not want to do that. And that's fine. So that's what the Democrats need to do. They need to unify on that and stop outcasting and othering other people just because they're white men, because they hold a position of power, or they just never got a chance to get an education. Lastly, it was kind of a joke. Stephen Colbert was actually asking if he should run for president, and Obama was like, he didn't say yeah, but he was like, well, it would be a lot better than what the current president is doing right now. So I just wanted to add to that. Presidents should not have pardoning power. Like, why do we have the ability for presidents, for anyone prosecuted on the federal level, to just be excused by the president just like that? Just like with Ghislaine Maxwell. Why is it possible that we're having this conversation that she can be excused? Other two people that are running for 2028, guys, is Kamala Harris, who said she might run for 2028, and she's open to releasing the autopsy from 2024 on why she lost. This autopsy is a really detailed explanation report from the Democrats that would explain why we lost 2024. It could be a mix of reasons. I think Kamala didn't separate herself enough from Biden. There was no primary for the Democratic candidate. And also, it was just way too hard with that short time frame to be able to campaign and raise enough money like that, right? And then it's just natural, right, to go from Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. The good thing about Kamala is she did make a statement about Voting Rights Act. When I was talking about the Voting Rights Act being violated by the Supreme Court, she's one of the few people that called them out. Her and Gavin Newsom called them out, and I think AOC did too, which I'll talk about later. But Kamala, I think, has a good chance with the black voters, so she's not constrained by Joe Biden or a small time frame this time. So we'll see what she can do. I'm not going to endorse anybody. That's not what this podcast is meant for. So I'm not endorsing her, but I'm just saying this year she'll do a better job since she'll be more prepared and not so constrained. The next person running for president that said they might run for president is AOC. So she feels like she's able to run for president because she worked as a waitress. She's huge on inequality, and she doesn't take lobbies by corporations, but instead only takes money from grassroots organizations. And she does mention this a lot in her videos. Cool to me that she's running on that campaign. Also, being Latina and being a woman, she feels like she can relate more to the inequality. Also, her stance on Jeff Bezos, her stance on domestic surveillance, because with this new era of AI, and I'm not saying AI is bad or anything, but I'm just saying I worry about the dangers of AI. Like with the dangers of AI and domestic surveillance, feel constrained. It's gonna feel like our privacy is being breached, our rights are being breached. She knows exactly what to say. She's charismatic. She's young. That's the biggest thing. She's young, and she knows how to win the people. That wraps it up. Alex was not able to make it again, but hopefully we'll bring him in next time. It's just that we've been so busy, and he's been busy in his personal life. He might join in every once in a while. Hopefully I can get some guests on here, guys. I just enjoy doing this solo as well. Like, anything I can kind of just adapt to. Like, there's pros and cons of doing it solo and pros and cons of doing it with someone else. And thank you guys for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't. Like us on all socials. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky as well. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye now.